Alright, Jett, DIY video. DIY, what are we doing?
DIY. You know what we're doing? We're forgetting the parts down at my house.
Ooh, really? Alright, so we're not doing anything yet.
Alright, boys and girls.
You got the right lug nuts?
Maybe. So we're doing extended wheel studs for the race car. It still has the OG ones on, which are very close to falling off.
Did you know that's a sound a dog makes?
So I got the through and through super light lug nuts for
Those are
that.
really long.
Yeah, they're hella nice. Dude, feel this thing too. It weighs nothing. Isn't that incredible?
Aluminum?
Yeah, aluminium.
I had some eBay ones that were similar to this, but they didn't look this nice, and they were much smaller.
Yeah, I mean, look
Yeah,
at
that's
this shit,
crazy
dude.
light.
Got the torque spec and Flammio on.
Oh, damn.
Can't argue. And then yeah, just to be hot boys, because I'm tired of this thing's street fitment, which we've all seen and hate. When it's on the street, got some 10 mil spacers we can fit now. Ew.
Yeah.
I'm actually really stoked about those. I'm really tired of having such terrible fitment on the street. But
Yeah.
I've never been able to justify buying them because for one I knew I had to get longer wheel studs and lug nuts. And I was like, I can't spend like $200 to $300 just for an aesthetic mod.
Yeah, because the street tires and wheels are much skinnier than these. Beautiful.
Big boy, see how much rubber's in this thing right now? Lots!
Tasty.
Jett broke out the peanut butter blaster.
About to blast your peanuts.
Jett just took the brake caliper and rotor off of this side.
Yeah, caliper's hiding back here. Rotor's hiding. And then yeah, we're pressing all of these out of the back of the hub. The new ones are probably about that much longer, another inch off these, so they probably will not, maybe on this side honestly could slip in, but we might have to bend this bracket in some place and then bend it back
Yeah.
when we go back together.
But these ones look like they'll come out pretty easy. And Jett did some research, and it seems like you can kind of just slam them out with a hammer. So we're going to PB blast them and let them soak, take the
Yeah.
other side of the car apart, and then come back and hammer on them.
And look how like fine the threads are on these and how much metal's built up behind them. You can see these things are probably not the safest in the world to be running big grip 225 tires on. Considering also I probably swap tires back and forth on this thing probably 20 or 30 times a year.
These studs have had a lot of work.
A lot of work for little baby OEM ones, so.
Yeah. So we're going to soak these while we take the other side apart, and then we'll get to smacking.
Hell yeah.
Oh, and side note, I've had bad luck with all kinds of other penetrating oils before, so I gave up on them. And then for whatever reason, I tried this because it heard it was good, and I believe in it now. It seems like it works pretty dang well.
It does. It's low-key amazing. Alright. Well, that's it for a bit. Do the other side. I'm gonna get earplugs too. While I'm right up against that.
Jett's ready for Pound Town.
Yeah.
When you're doing these, make sure you don't hit anywhere else other than the stud. I mean, you might a little bit, but try really hard not to.
Yeah,
So I've seen people hit a hub with a sledgehammer and warp it.
Yeah,
bend
hitting
it.
this, or if you smack like the edge of this, these wheels center on these rings, a lot of wheels, so it might not be able to fit your wheel properly.
Yeah, that's true. If you mess up that edge, your wheel might not fit on.
If you have a lug you don't care about, you can do that, so you have a little more clearance. You're
Bigger.
not so close.
Bigger thing to hit, too.
Unfortunately, I'm going to try to not break these, because these are still pretty new and pretty nice. They'd be nice to have.
Alright, so don't mess up your nice lug, but if you have a bad one, do it.
Do it.
Yes.
And smacking a sledgehammer metal to metal isn't a very nice noise.
Ooh.
Ooh. Ah. It's going.
Success. Aww.
Finesse.
Beautiful.
It's not bad.
Alright, Jett got all four of those out. Pounding them took, what, a minute and a half?
Yeah, I would go for the lots of lighter controlled taps. It still doesn't take that long. You probably get out with one big swing, but you probably also break your hub with one big swing.
Yeah, and if you miss with a big swing, like you said, messing up that little ridge will be a much bigger issue than you think it will be.
Yeah, so a little, whatever this is, 2 or 3 pound sledgehammer does the trick just fine.
Yeah, not that bad, just like 10 taps on each one or something.
Yeah, about.
Those came out pretty easy.
Yeah, it was good. It also definitely could be the power of BB Blaster.
Yeah, that probably helped a lot. Let's see how those new boys fit.
Yeah. So here's our fronts. Yeah, so
That's
they're
so much longer.
massive.
That's almost twice as long.
Yeah, we could probably put a 1-inch spacer on these wheels and it'd be fine.
Yeah, you have what, like another inch almost of threads probably?
Yeah, plus the bullet top. That way, not that we're like NASCAR pit crew people, but the idea is if you're changing wheels and tires hella quick,
You don't mess up the threads.
Yeah, it will auto center your wheel or your lug nut.
Right. It'll make putting the wheels on a bit easier.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not gonna like mushroom the very end of your thread and then be screwed.
So, hell yeah.
Sweet. Thanks, ARP.
Thanks, Erp. I'm just gonna try to get these fucking things out of here.
You put an ARP sticker on your window now and people are not gonna want to mess with you.
So you'd be like, what do you have done to your engine? I got ARP head studs. Oh yeah, what kind of power are you pushing? None. So the best place these long boys will fit is right here. And it's hella close. It's just barely touching this right here. You don't want to hit it with a hammer because you don't want to fuck up your very first thread. It looks like you might be able to just, yeah, push this back with your hand. And that might be all we need. Ooh. Yep.
Oh, there you go. So
Easy.
You bent that.
So all you did is just push this little metal piece right here back. You can see it's not very strong. Just try to remind yourself to bend it back a tiny bit when you're done. Probably doesn't matter, but
That thing's also gonna be dirty as shit.
yeah, truth. There you go. Yeah, and you can just push it back a little bit, help pop them in.
Hell yeah.
No problem.
Jett is gonna explain the setup we used to get that stud in. We got the first one in.
This one's done.
And it's pretty good.
Yeah, the move is to put a socket and then an older lug nut because we already put it on. You can see just one kind of fucked this up.
Yeah, we kind of knew it was gonna get messed up, so we didn't want to use his brand new
Yeah.
lug nuts.
So you want to hold the socket flush so it's not sitting like crooked. Make sure it's flush with the hub. And then the lug will kind of self-center it.
Nice and level.
Yeah, and there you
straight.
go.
You want everything straight.
Yeah. And so we tried to do a turn with a wrench just to get this thing started, but you literally can't turn them at all. So you just have to start with an impact. You can start on a really low setting if you have a fancy impact. Get it going, and then once you know you've done 1 or 2 full turns, you know it's engaged, beef it up because it does take a lot of effort to press these things in.
Yeah. So if you don't have some sort of a press, you can do what we're doing and use a socket and your old nut.
Yeah, so like here's on...
Just make sure the socket, the nut is deep enough. So we tested it, we screwed that nut on all the way.
Yeah, so if you look at like once this is all the way on, what he's saying is when this is all the way as far down as it can go, we're still not bottoming out the socket. See how there's an overlap here? The socket sits on this thing more like that. So you just want to make sure that you're not bottoming this out and just
running
yeah.
your new studs into the inside of
Exactly.
the nut. So plenty of clearance on everything. Make sure it's all straight. And you can use this method if you don't have any sort of press.
Yeah, because also it seems like for these Miatas, the only place you're going to be able to fit a press to put this back on would be to take the hub off.
You kind of need a gun to do this because
it's super high effort.
Air gun would work too. We just have an electric one that we're using.
On setting 1, that's this thing's lowest setting. When we start, don't watch the socket because it might not turn. Watch the socket that's actually on your gun. So this is the lowest setting. Oh.
So that's a good note. If these little grooves are what keeps it from turning. So if it's not in just a little bit, it's just gonna spin.
Exactly.
So Jett literally just pushed it in with his finger, and it should be in there enough to keep itself in place.
Yeah, there we go. And see how you can watch, like if you watch the numbers here, how slow this is moving. That's barely going. So we did setting 2 on this thing, and that'll ram it in pretty good.
You can see the stud going
Bottom
in on
out.
the back. It's just a little easier to watch the socket because the stud moves so slow you might think it's not moving. As long as the stud's not rotating and the socket is, that means it's being pulled in. All right, we got a whole bunch more of these to do.
So let's get to her.
4 studs in.
Hit it. And then another thing that's good to do is we blew off all the metal chunks from impacting shit on before. We're gonna bolt stuff up to this. Just, yeah, so it's not nasty, boy.
Yeah, you don't want extra metal on
metal
your
that you don't
threads.
need.
All 4 studs are in on this side. Jett's gonna finish putting all the brakes back together. Oh yeah, don't forget to bend that dust shield back.
Yeah, like I said, it doesn't actually touch anything, but maybe when you're at full lock, it might smack something, so that's not a big deal. Yeah, we just want to bolt everything back up on one side before we go ahead to make sure that, you know, there's no weird reason this might mess something up.
Right, make sure it all works out. Put this side back together, test fit it all, and if it's good to go, we're gonna bang the other 3 corners out.
What are we banging?
Smooth lighting. All right, Jett put a spacer on this side, and he's gonna throw the wheel on, and we got no spacer on this side. So we're gonna see the difference in real time, real life.
Real life, real time.
All right, Jett's got a spacer on this side. There's still lots of room in there with the stock wheels on, but it's much better
It is much better than it was before.
aka no spacer.
Is there even a wheel?
Not from here. First one
done.
on the rear. So you gotta line up a flat spot on that.
You get a screwdriver and smack that out.
All right, front of the car is done. We took a lunch break. Now starting on the rear. Jett sprayed these before we had lunch, so they've been soaking. So hopefully they come out pretty easy. This first one came out in like 10 seconds. Now you just gotta line it up to get it out. So Jett just pounded this down flat. It's a little dust shield, and those guys sneak right out. But there is a flat spot, a flat edge on them that you have to line up to get past this. All right, Jett's being a little torquey boy. He's got the rears on. Fitment's pretty dang good. So again, punched out all 8 studs. He's got new gold ones in there. You can kind of see. Swapped out all 8 studs and threw some spacers on so that his stock wheels look a little bit nicer.
They look better in the back, not so much in the front.
Ooh. But yeah, not too bad. I mean, it seems like the front and back were the same, right? You just take your brake caliper, brake rotor off, and then bend the heat shield a little bit and hammer them out. PB blaster them and let them sit first.
Yeah, the rear heat shield on these, because the front one you can get away with this with your hand pushing out of the way. This one you have to like kind of hammer out of the way. And then yeah, just make sure to bend it back, just enough so it's not contacting your knuckle. It probably wouldn't make noise, but it might, and it's kind of a decent amount of work to get back in there if you only want to do this job once. All I'd say otherwise is, because we didn't legit press these in, I would literally back your car to the driveway, drive it back and forth a couple times, then retorque your wheels in case one of them like settles or something. And then I would go for a 1 mile drive or something, you know. Use the brakes, turn the wheel, like try to be active in the car. Don't go crazy.
Right.
And then check them again. And then maybe a week later check them. But, you know, if every time you do it, they're always like tight, like don't worry about it. But if like you're consistently getting more, then I would definitely check it again like in a week. And then just keep checking them until they actually click on the first try with no movement of the torque wrench.
But don't check them hot. If you go get your brakes crazy hot, don't check them.
Yeah, exactly. Go for a drive. A smooth drive, like, you know, just like a normal drive with the car, and then let it sit for a minute before you torque them.
Right.
I will say usually I snug it up with a regular wrench. I use one of these, just get snug while the car's in the air, set it down and then torque it with a torque wrench, and usually you never get more than like that much movement with the torque wrench, and they're torqued. Some of these took like a full quarter turn or more, which to me, maybe because they're new lug nuts, so they're also like getting set in. They're aluminum, so they're different. But it could also be that some of the studs aren't perfectly in, and that's pulling them the last little bit. So now that they're settled, you want to double check them.
Yep. Heck yeah. But good to go. New studs, spacers on there for the stock wheels. It's looking pretty good.
Not bad at all, dude.
Not too bad of a job. I'd say remember the PB blaster. That'll make your life a whole lot easier. But with that was pretty simple because I didn't have to do anything.
He was my flashlight. Said, Zach, give me this. Zach, give me that.
That's true.
Tell him to get the torque wrench, gives me a screwdriver.
Yeah.
So proud of you, son.
I'd say 5 out of 10 on the hardness scale.
I'd say if you've done anything to your car before, 5 out of 10.
As long as you can confidently take your brakes on and off, then you can easily do this job.
Yeah, we're kind of cheating because the Willwoods are really easy to take off. All right.
On that note, thanks for watching. You guys
Peace.
There it is.
There it is. Got what you need, boy.
What in the shits?